looks good. Okay. It's even up top. Everything's even up top. It's just down at the bottom. It's not. Okay, so we're about to set our shower pan in. We just dry fitted it. And one of the things you really want to pay attention to is the flatness of your wall. And when you put one of these shower pans in, it kind of highlights what's wrong in a lot of ways. So like I have my straight edge here and it kind of goes in line with what's being shown here. So as you can see, I have a big gap in between my wall stud and my pan, and it's tight in the corners, and my straight edge is reading the same thing. So that's like almost 3/8 of an inch. That's pretty bad. So I'm going to show you the fastest and easiest way to basically overcome unplumbness and unevenness with the walls, because when you're tiling a wall, it's so much easier if you can get the wall completely flat before you're doing it. But it also reads out of plumb as well in that same direction. So all signs point that we have to bring this stud out to meet the edge of our pan. And this is a great reference point too, just using your shower pan as that reference point, because this is all straight in a line. We'll just double check it with our straight edge. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to just simply sister on new studs. That's really going to be the fastest and easiest way to go about this. So we'll just get basically one that's 95 inches. And just to reiterate too, check out the top with your straight edge, and that's all looking pretty good up top. So it truly is just the bottom of the studs that are bad, but also check for plumbness on your edge boards. And I'm showing level this, or plumb this way and plumb this way as well. So it's literally just these three studs that are kind of kicked out that way a little bit. Okay, so let me get my framing nailer. So this is gonna be really simple. I'm just gonna make sure it's tight up at the top because we're already good there. And I'm just gonna pull it out to meet my base. So make sure this is tucked against the wall at the top, and then have it tight to the base. Okay, so we want to overcome our flange. This is basically just like a tub, essentially. So we're just going to use some furring strips. I'm just going to use the 7/16 OSB for that. And that'll allow us to slide the backer board over that flange. So it's just as simple as putting the furring strips over our existing studs now. Okay, so we're going to be putting a bench off the back here, and I always say between 20 or 19, 22 inches, maybe at the most 21 inches is about a normal height. So we want to get some blocking in here for this little floating bench. So I'm just going to put a whole piece of plywood in that area. Okay, so what we're going to do for our backer board, our waterproofing, is we're going to use a board called Go Board. This is basically just a foam board, really easy to cut, and it's already waterproof. So you just have to apply sealant over the seams and seal and fasteners that you put into it. But the first thing you want to do, right against your base, make sure it's nice and clean of debris. And just put a nice generous caulking joint at the base. Okay, so you want to see that oozing out, that's a good sign. And just every 12 inches on your screws. So this is a really fast and easy system to install. It's one of my favorite go-to types because it's actually fairly inexpensive. Just be sure that you buy all the components with the system, including the screws. The screws are kind of pretty important because they have like a fender washer, and it makes sure that you can really between the boards, anchor
just
put a
that
bead
foam
board together. But it really is like a dustless cutting. You know, you can cut it down with a utility knife, really easy to manipulate. Just be sure that any seam you use the go bore sealant before you embed another board into place. And in the corners, another important area that you have to make sure you have plenty of go board sealant. So that's one thing, you don't want to run out of sealant. I usually buy one tube per sheet and then maybe buy an extra one in addition to that. So pay attention to what gaps and things. If you're going to build a custom niche, I would definitely add on a couple more tubes of sealant as well. You don't want to run out of that, but really important for the corners of your shower, make sure there's plenty of sealant so when you put that board in, it kind of oozes out of that corner. I'll do it. And if you messed up and you miscut your pieces like I just did here, don't worry about it. You can always piece it in. It's just going to take a little bit more sealant to be able to make all of that work. So very versatile. You can use all your scraps up. You can make as many pieces as you want. Not a really big deal. Just when you put the corner bead on, I do recommend just doing a metal corner bead for this. It's just going to be more rigid and easier to finish. So yeah, use metal corner bead. Just be sure that you check one side, on the side that you're going to be finishing your drywall. Make sure that that corner bead's set correctly so that you can mud that side of the wall. Okay, so now we've got everything up. All we have to do is put like 1 inch overlap of sealant in all the corners and all of the seams. So this will take a couple tubes of sealant. On this corner bead, I would just go with sealant all the way along the side where you're going to have the tile so that you prevent that from having anything rust out if water got underneath there. Okay, so we're going to put a valve seal on for our valve made by Schluter. So this is basically just a membrane that you thin set into place. So one thing you have to do is take off our little plastic mounting plaster guard, I guess you could call it. So pull that out of there. Okay, so what this has is a bigger end on the back, smaller end on the top. So all you do is thin set this into place. Okay, so for this seam right here, we're going to use some Curdy band to go between the drywall and make sure that we go down alongside of our shower pan. So I want to make sure that the waterproofing extends around this area here. So we'll get some thin set. This out as if it was drywall mud. Take the excess off of the drywall area. And hey, if you plan on doing your own bathroom remodel, definitely check out my course. I've put together a curriculum that goes step by step through the entire process of the bathroom remodel. It'll definitely keep you organized and prepared so you can efficiently get that bathroom remodel done.